When you first start your business, it's easy to treat every client request like an emergency, especially if you're coming out of the corporate world where you're rewarded for responsiveness. But here's the truth: when you say yes to everything, you train your clients to expect it. And this often takes business owners a long time to wrap their head around. They end up burning out, they end up a little resentful, and then they finally realize, okay, I need to set some boundaries. But I want you to realize that setting boundaries is a good thing and you can do it right from the beginning. So, today I want to talk about how to set boundaries and manage client expectations in a way that feels professional, confident, and kind. Hi, I'm Kathleen Lawson, and as a business strategist, I help female service based solopreneurs take control of their time and business by putting the strategy, structure, and routines in place to build momentum and grow. So, let's start with the first step: defining your availability and how you want to communicate. Before you can communicate boundaries, you have to know what they are. So we're going to decide a few. So start with your working hours, when you're available and when you're not. New business owners often want to be available all the hours because they're afraid if they're not, clients will go elsewhere. And I'm telling you, that just doesn't happen. You're not an employee. Your client is hiring you for your expertise, not to be available to them 24/7. You are allowed to set your own working schedule. Then you want to determine your response time when clients reach out to you. 24 to 48 hours, business hours, is a very common response time, but depending on your business, it might be shorter. It really depends on what you do. You also want to think about how evenings and weekends and even holidays play into your response time. Make those decisions ahead of time. You don't want to be making those decisions in the moment. Make your decision ahead of time, set your boundaries. And then choose your communication channels. Are you going to communicate with your clients via email or text or a project platform you're on or Voxer? And then limit it. You don't want clients messaging you in all the places. Things will get lost. Things will get confusing. You won't remember where you saw something. And do really think about whether you want your clients in your texts. Many people like to stick with emails because it's easier to organize and then you've got things in writing. Again, it depends on your business and what kinds of things you'll be communicating. For example, it's going to be very different if you are a web designer and you have decisions pertinent to the project going back and forth versus if you are, say, a life coach and your only communication is really about the logistics of your next call. Also, you may need to define what is urgent versus non-urgent. So I know a social media manager who does a very nice job of explaining in very clear language what is urgent versus non-urgent and when a client can reach out to them over a weekend or a holiday, for example, for something that is urgent. In the corporate world, you probably had to be available at all times and do things in ways that somebody else determined. But as a business owner, you get to design the rules. So once you know your own boundaries, your next step is setting expectations very clearly with your clients and right from the start. So the best place to set those expectations and boundaries is not in the middle of your project, but it's during onboarding. So you want to walk your clients through how you work, what times you're available, your response times, even your meeting frequency, and what's included in your service. So when expectations are very clear up front, clients are going to feel better because they know what to expect and when. So you can include communication expectations in your welcome packet, all written out, and then you review them in your kickoff call. You really can't over communicate here. And do go through your process. And if it's relevant, share what happens if timelines slip or feedback is delayed. This is a common issue and a point of frustration for businesses such as copywriters, web designers, social media managers. They set up a process, a timeline, and if the client doesn't do what they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do it, it's difficult for that vendor to meet their deliverables. So it's completely appropriate to say, if you don't get back to me within X time frame, then whatever happens then. Do they go to the end of the line? Is there a restarting fee? Whatever it is you decide. But you do need to put these systems in place. The best business owners do. These systems are going to protect your time and your energy. Now, even with the best systems, there's one thing that still trips up almost every new business owner, and that is scope creep. Scope creep happens when a project slowly grows beyond what was agreed on, and it's not usually intentional. Most clients don't realize they're asking for more, but business owners can get very upset and frustrated. And the reason why very often is because they don't know what to say, and they're afraid that if they set that line, the client's going to walk away. So you need to stay calm. You need to assume that the client had positive intentions. There's nothing malicious going on here. They just don't know where the line is. So the way to handle this is to have some language in your back pocket and be confident when you use it. So you can say things like, that sounds like a great next step. Let's talk about how we can add that in. Or, well, that's outside our current scope, but I'd love to provide a quote for the additional work. And again, you need to sound confident. Don't get defensive. Remind them of your process and deliverables if you need to, and which is why it's good that you have it in writing in the first place. I've talked a lot of clients through this, and in pretty much every single situation, they come back to me 1,000 pounds lighter, happy, relieved, and they say, oh, yeah, it's all fine now. I'm going to send them a new invoice, or we're going to talk about it when we're done with this project, or we agreed on XYZ. So the more you practice this, the more natural it's going to become, and the clients will respect you for it. Setting boundaries does not make you difficult, it makes you dependable. Clear communication, upfront expectations, and structure are what's going to help you build long-term trust-based relationships. It's going to protect your time, it's going to prevent burnout, and it's going to help you run your business more like a CEO. So if you want help creating systems that support your boundaries, things like onboarding templates, I have a free guide you can download here. It's my streamlined and standout client onboarding system. And if you're ready to take your structure to the next level, then let's chat. I have a couple different ways that we can work together. And if you like this content, remember to subscribe so you don't miss any of our videos. Have a great day.